Good evening, good evening, good evening. Another day, another dollar. I'm not claiming 15 cents, I'm claiming my dollar. I had to change my second song, but I really love the Bobby Blue Bland song that I played. But I was just feeling some soul food. You know, the intro song is an intro song, then I like playing the second song to give people a chance to get in. I know I was running a little bit late. I didn't know what I wanted to wear today. So I'm not going all the way what I did yesterday, but I'm gonna come I'm gonna come close. I'm gonna put a button up, look like I'm about to go to a business meeting. Let's spit some facts and knowledge today. I had a really warm reception from yesterday's presentation, and let me move this up. I had a really warm reception from yesterday's presentation, and people said they want more. So if you have a particular Black History topic and or person that you would like me to research and go over, please let me know. I'll be happy to do so. And if you say something that I'm like, I don't know, I don't think that'd be good for the people, then I'll do a short clip. I got some things coming up on YouTube. I'm going to really expand my brand on the things that I cover. Some people laugh because I say, well, you know, the relationship stuff was fun. I might do that once or twice a week, but I want to give more knowledge and talk about more thought-provoking things that are not just subject to my opinion or your opinion, or make it seem like I'm coming for somebody, a female, and because I disagree or don't disagree with how they're going about their business or finding their mate, or when men are complaining that there's no women available, men are complaining that there's no women available, and we're both looking for each other in the same room with the light on, with a flashlight, and still can't find each other. So that said, I'm going to digress a little bit away from that. Every now and then, because I want to get back to more of the interview style when it comes to that. I want to have some guests on, and I want to have more guests to conversate about what's wrong, Casey? To conversate about what they want to do, what they're looking for and such. And yeah, sometimes it's like it's not as fun. I want to have fun. I want to be informative, and sometimes it's not as fun. Sometimes it's just mess. People find a reason to talk bad about somebody else, and I don't know. What is blind? Oh, I was in the camera or something? What you talking about? All right, so tonight's topic is priorities. Setting your priorities. Setting your priorities. Now, this is actually a little deeper than it might seem. You said we couldn't find each other. Yeah, that's what listen, understand what I said. We in the damn closet with the light on. Okay? We're in a small closet with the light on. Two people in the room. I say I'm looking for a woman. Woman say she's looking for a man. We got the light on, we got flashlights, and we still can't find each other. There ain't nobody else but me and you, and then both of us say, man, there ain't nobody here. We ain't here. So, anyway, priorities. Let's start from the beginning. Okay. How deep do I want to go with this? Because I don't know. You know, sometimes when I start a topic that's not related to things like this, I like to go to a certain depth so then I can come back up. And I want to start at. Of course, I'm going to talk about jobs and financing and what you wear and all those things. So that know that that's what's coming. I get it. Well, maybe we need to reset our priorities. That's what we're going to do. All right. So this is what I want y'all to think about. And I got late 20s, early 30s, mid 40s, early 50s. My target audience that YouTube says I'm targeted to is 35 to 55. So I'm going to focus on the people that are 35 to 55. So if you fall in this, within 1 year, either way, 37 means 34 or 56, I'm talking to you. Okay? So don't be offended. Just know that I want better outcomes and results. I'm a results-driven man. I do things to get the things that I want and or influence the way that I want to have things. And I totally understand that it's not the way I'm trying to deliver it. It's making sure you receive it the way that I'm trying to deliver it. So oftentimes you might hear me come back around and talk to somebody with the same subject and give them a different angle because I'm trying to make sure it's received the right way. Because making sure that my message that I'm trying to deliver is getting to the audience is the most important thing. If not, then I'm talking for no reason. So if you ever wonder why he say the same thing again, I'm trying to make sure it was received correctly. It's very important. All right, so let's talk about your education. So some people did not graduate from high school. They went back and got their GED. Then they found out that it's not the easy. It's fairly simple but the hard part is if you got a GED and you started before you were 18, 19, the average high school graduation rate, and you started working at 15, 16, then you went back and sometime or another and went and got your GED, then you find it harder to go back to school because of the hustle and bustle of life. You might have had a kid, other responsibilities. But even if you don't have what my grandmama used to call that piece of paper, which is an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or master's degree, you can go up to specialist and or doctorate, and there's 3 or 4 different versions of a doctorate that you can acquire and receive. Multiple specialists, different master's degrees, plentiful number of associates and bachelors. Okay, know that, and there's, mind you, anytime that I'm talking for the rest of the night, I'm not talking to anybody individually. I'm not coming for anybody individually. I'm trying to use broad strokes to tell a story about what some people's life is like. There's always a unicorn. There's always a little fairy with pixie dust that somebody sprinkled and you got a rocket put on your back, and you none of the rules that other people go by fell to you. You were the exception to the rule. You did not have to follow. But what I will speak about is the people, the average people, the median, the 4 through 7. You're not a 1, 2, or 3, and you're not a 8, 9, or 10. But everything else is the median, 4 through 7. These are the average people. These are what most people, that's why it's more, have to go through this. So this is who I'm talking about. So if you don't get a bachelor's degree and you want to get into management, normally versus when you go to college and you come out at 22, 23, and they will put you in a management training program or make you an assistant manager because you have a degree, or give you an opportunity to be at the last level. For example, in the military, if you go to college and then come out, you're a commissioned officer right away. That means your salary is multiplied versus the person who's your same age, and you're responsible in higher ranking than all the men who even have 15 and 20 years experience. You are their commanding officer. Sorry if you don't like it, that's just the way it is. So the business world is structured similarly, but not exactly. It'll translate to more of 8 years experience is equal to a college degree. Now look this up, because if you're almost 30, then they're like, oh, well, she has blah, blah, blah. And unless you know how to word your resume to show that you attended a college and didn't graduate, and there's a way to do that, they're going to assume that you don't have a degree. Because I had an employee one time. I was running one of my sites. I used to be a logistics manager. I'm still in logistics, but I don't run the show right now. And he put on there that he attended Mississippi State. So I looked when he said he got there. I was like, hey, when did you graduate? He said, no, I just was there for a semester. Mind you, when he said that, I'm looking at his resume. He's across from the table from me, and I'm doing this interview. I just gave him a long stare. To me, in my mind, why did you put this on here? But I was told later that if you attended, actually enrolled, then you can put that you went anywhere. Hell, if you get accepted to Harvard or Yale, you can say that you attended, you were there. You can put the date, 2000 whatever, and then leave the end date blank because you didn't finish. or you can show that you are still attending. So that's different. Um, but anyway, so if you want a better job, if you want um, more income, because this life is about happiness and income. You want to make sure that your income represents the life that you want to live. And in order to get said income, you must educate yourself, not just with a bachelor's, master's. You can get it with a skill or trade or a skill set that is exceptional and that will warrant you for a high dollar income. So understand, this is the foundation. If you started there, then you can get into sales. Your ability to talk to people and sway them to buy a particular product that you're selling for can put you in a different situation. And a lot of salespeople make six figures, but you're always selling. You cannot stop it because you're commission based, or you have a salary / commission structure working for somebody, or whatever the product you're selling, you can acquire it for a discount and then sell it for a profit. These things are fine, but you must know that you're always working. It's never, I'm off today. Yeah, you can take time off that's structured, but always know that it's kind of like when I worked for a bank for 2.5 years, and they basically took us to class and said that if you're going to be successful in banking, you're always on. If you're out of your house, you need to look like you're representing the position that you have at the bank, or people will look at you differently. Like, you really can't come out and be looking all disheveled or whatever the case, because they assume, oh, this is the banker. He's protecting and watching my money. I need to hold him in a higher regard than I do the average person because he's watching our money. So they said you always have to be on. Like, you basically have to have some disheveled clothes that are more organized than other people. And even when you go into the grocery store, especially when you live in that community, or a grocery store, or to not to the bank, but out in the mall or whatever the case, you need to kind of look like you're casual business, not business casual, but casual business. Not a tie, but maybe a button up or a polo, not a Letterman jacket, but more of a sport coat on a regular basis, because they're always looking at you. And then I remember that, so my manager, his title was city president. He was the city president. I was in Greenville, Mississippi, by the way. And he come to work in a suit, shirt, tie, he was dressed. And then when I seen him not in business clothing, I was like, man, that dude looked kind of rough. It was weird seeing him not, because his choice of jeans weren't nice. His T-shirt, I think he had on a polo. It wasn't polo. It was just a polo, the type of shirt. It wasn't that high quality. I was like, man, you need to make sure you come to work. You need to go out in a goddamn suit all the time, because you looking kind of homely right now. And I kind of understood it then. Now, they would have said I was being extreme, but I'm looking at how black people were viewing me. Because I was 24, 25 at the time, and they was like, oh man, I thought you were in your mid-30s. You always look this way, you always look that way every time I see you. I was like, okay, well, I'm getting the desired effect that I want of making myself stand apart, not by saying anything, but just being. And you get judged on the way you carry yourself and the way that you dress, which is very important. So I set my priorities to not, so that when they came and saw me, they saw. So I joined the 100 Black Men of Greenville, which is part of the main national organization, 100 Black Men. And I was with movers and shakers, but I wasn't making no money. So it was very interesting. What's up, brother? It was very interesting being a part of it. Okay, so get a skill or trade. Find the time. Hey, darling, how you doing tonight? Find the time, even if you're busy as hell. Find the time to find what you want to do that makes money and go do that. You want to have some kind of joy in the job that you're doing, or it's going to be really difficult to continue to move on and go forward. Next thing you need to do is, if you're not liking what you do, you need to be well compensated. So find a position and or job, and then like you might see somebody. I always said I want to be able to, when I settle down, I want to go to work every day, have on a sport coat and a button up and some slacks and some nice shoes, and this is how I go to work every day. So at one point I actually had that. I had that job where I was wearing slacks, sport coat every day. I made a decent amount, above average salary, had lots of responsibility, and then COVID happened. So then it changed my life. So I have all the clothes to do what I want to do. I'm just currently not in that same position. So I actually like what I'm doing more because I'm selling freight, and it's fairly easy to me. I'm not easily discouraged, but I'm moving around the industry to try to find out what's the best for me and what is the best that's going to be profitable for me. I'm gonna stop saying to you that I know better. All right, so you find your skill of trade or you acquire your skill of trade. There's a lot of things that you can go do as far as additional education to make you a better person, to make you more skilled, to make you more marketable. And it's not necessarily a degree. I would say the average person, especially a man, the average man needs to go get some kind of degree to make it easier to show that he has the discipline to be trainable. I got my degree in mass communications, radio, TV. I tried to get in the industry because of my voice and my knowledge base, but I could not do it. I couldn't find the job that was going to get me the decent base salary back in 2003, 2004. And the jobs that were available were just right above minimum wage. And I'm like, well, you can grind for a couple years and then, somebody moves on, then you would have an opportunity. So I was like, okay, that ain't gonna work for me. I had a son at the time. He's grown now, almost 22. And I wanted to do more. I had, child support, Pampers, diapers, milk, all that stuff to pay for. I was like, man, this ain't gonna work. So I put my resume out there, and then they said, well, based on the fact that you have a degree and you're not a pure dummy, we'll hire you as an assistant manager, and then we'll train you the rest of the way. So I went through that. I worked for a finance company, because I always like money. I worked for a finance company, then I worked for a bank, and then I went into logistics. And I've basically been in logistics ever since then. A few years back, I stepped into sales so that I can sell. I could sell already because I can talk pretty well. I was a recruiter for a trucking company, a large trucking company, and I went to tech schools and truck driving schools and talked to people all day. And they paid me for it. It was a higher ranking manager. I only had like one boss. It was awesome. And I got to talk to people about trucking, which at that point I had 10 years experience, and it was fun. But, times they were changing. My numbers were fine. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this full time. So when they tried to downsize my position, I went back to being a dispatcher. Kept my same salary, blah, blah, blah. So I get a skill or trade. And speaking of that, there's a lot of people that ask me about logistics, trucking industry. Do not try to go just be a dispatcher without any experience. There's so many things that you don't know that I was actually trained for. I went through a 6 months training program. Then I became a dispatcher, and I still, it took me a year and a half, 2 years really to get all the knowledge base to be good at your job and to know the things that the drivers are going to want you to know. Because I've seen people give crash courses, and I'm like, then I listen to what they're talking about, and they still have no clue. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than you think, because there's so many aspects of transportation and logistics that you need to be aware of. All right, let me move on. So now you take the time to get this skill or trade, whether you get your degree, and then remember, so there's this thing, it's called STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. These 4 things. Those 4 subjects will always get you a job no matter what you do. Education will always have a job. Social work will always have a job, but you're not going to make any money. And anything in the arts, like painting, music, underwater basket weaving, anything in arts, you're going to struggle to find that actual position that you can apply it into real work. But if you stick to STEM, and education, because the E is for engineering, not education. Education is totally separate because if you go to Georgia, I know somebody who teaches in Georgia, and she does pretty well. She does exceptionally well. She has a master's and she has 15, 16 years of experience. So you go to Georgia and or a high dollar state that has a large metropolitan area, for example, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Atlanta, DMV. I'm gonna stop right there. Not gonna tell you to go above the DMV. I'm not, I like y'all. I'm gonna give you some good knowledge. We'll go to a large, any major metropolitan area that has more than 1 million people. That's the caveat. Because then you have options of private schools, charter schools, and public education to pick from, and then knowing what you want to do. Yeah, I said DMV. Okay, so STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, Tina from Pasadena. That's what I gotta take a drink to that. Okay, find this thing. I'm not telling you what to do because there's plenty of options. I'm probably skipping something, but the one thing that I'll tell you that I don't like is when somebody says they're an entrepreneur. Hey, Keisha. They say they're an entrepreneur, and you say, hey, what do you do for a living? I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, but what do you do for a living? I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, now you're playing. Because entrepreneur does not say what you do. It only says that you have something that you do. Young people need diplomas and a trade. I think that should graduate with both, actually. That's thought-provoking, Casey. I'm going to come back to that. Find what you want to do. Find out how to do it. Go get that education, whether it's actually just going to school or going to that trade school or going to however you can acquire to do this job so that you can be employed. That is the most important thing. You need to be employed. Figure out the finances of how you're going to fund this education. That's almost secondary because there's a way. There's a grant. There's a fellowship. There's something that you can do, and you're not under anybody else's time because the time is based on your life that you're living and how you can acquire this additional knowledge. Even if you have to go to night school, 2 classes a semester, and it takes you 6 years to graduate, that's fine. If you say, hey, look, I love medicine and I want to be a nurse. Okay, I would research the types of nurses because my mom's RN, so I'm a little bit more versed in that because that's what she's been doing all my life. I would research the type of nurses and then figure out what you want to do because there's lots of options and some pay more than others. If you like working with little kids, okay, you want to be a peds nurse. If you want to deal with cancer patients, then you'll be in oncology. Sorry, I want to pronounce it right. But it's important to do what you want to do and then figure out how to do it. All right. So the next thing is once you find your profession, even if you're not doing what you want to do, but you're taking the steps to do what you want to do. Sometimes, let me get it right. I love this saying. You got to do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. My grandfather told me that. So now let's just say you're working in retail. Sometimes, you got to you're selling clothes for somebody, but you're taking night classes, or you're working in the afternoon, you're taking morning classes, whatever you got to do. But find that way to do. Like me, I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school either later this year or next year. I have a couple more degrees I want to get. And I want to speak better. I speak well, but I want to speak better than I speak now. And I want to be a public speaker. And I want to be able to teach at a higher level. Not necessarily a professor. Like this is fine for me, but I still want to have additional degrees. I want a couple letters behind my name. I want to walk in a room and change the weather when I walk in. I got 1 degree, so I think you can feel the temperature change about 3 degrees. So that's my personal goal. I would love for y'all to hold me accountable for that because I am going to do that. Oh yeah, sacrifice. You're gonna have to sacrifice. Okay, so let's just say we fast forward. It's a few years later. I ain't gonna say a couple. I'm gonna say a few years later. So now you've acquired. Let's just say a random example. You were in retail. Now you got your LPN or you got your RN. So now you're in your path. You're in your purpose. You found the job. This is the way. You found your job, and you're happy. You know, you're closer to the income. Now you got to pay back some student loans. That's cool. That's part of it. But now instead of making 15, you're making 30 per hour, or 35, whatever. You know, we're not getting into your finances. We're gonna get into that later. But you always notice whenever I talk about finances, I'm not gonna get into the specifics of what that pays you. I mean, if you want to look, you can Google Glassdoor and put in that profession that you're looking for and see what it pays. They'll give you salary ranges. But sometimes it's not as important as how you utilize the funds that you receive and spending inside the budget that you have created. I told you that the other day. Create a budget, know how much money you make, know how much money goes out, stay inside of that. Then here's another caveat to that. I did tell you that a book that I read is The Richest Man in Babylon. Now I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here. So you found your job, you don't have any money. Because like I told you before, you can Google it as well. The average American, no race, no gender, 70% do not, 70, with the percentage sign, do not have $1,000 disposable disposable money that they can acquire in less than 24 hours. The reason I say that is very important because if you have mutual funds, you have stocks, you have an online savings account that you get a couple thousand in, it doesn't transfer the next day. It's going to take 2 days. You're selling stocks, it's going to take 3 days, 3 business days or more. Sometimes it might take a week. If you have an insurance policy, you have a whole life policy that you want to draw down on, it's going to take you about a week to get your money. There's very few things that you can get unless you have it in a checking account, in a business account, or savings account that you can get the money the next day, 24 hours. So don't let it be a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock you're not getting. It's going to be 48 hours. Just let you know. All right. So The Richest Man in Babylon. This book, it's a really thin book. Maybe I want to say 50, 60 pages. It might be 100, but it's not a long read. The synopsis of The Richest Man in Babylon is every time you get paid. This is hard. I'm not telling you this is easy, but this is hard. And so I'm going to give you this quick little, okay? I'm going to step you up. Richest Man in Babylon is the premise of it. I would go get it, but I don't feel like getting it. First, you need to create a bill for yourself of 10% of whatever you make. Just like you got to pay your light, water, gas, cell phone, car note, car insurance, food, whatever. Create your budget to pay yourself 10%. After taxes, because we have to be reasonable, because Uncle Sam gonna get his money. Hopefully your 401k gonna get good day money. Queen Trill. Who else gonna get their money? FICO. All them people that on your check. Hopefully if you're a W-2 employee, you better have your medical, dental, vision full. The highest thing you want to walk into the so this is funny. I used to have my own trucking company. That's the other thing. I was talking about entrepreneurs. Please just say what you do. Don't say that you're an entrepreneur. If you have multiple businesses, say the one that pays your bills, that keeps the light on. Say the one that, this is how I got this car. This is why I'm wearing this shirt. Because this business, me, a trucking company, I had multiple box trucks, and I was a broker to other box truck owners, and I used to drive. So I had 3 incomes off of one position. But I said I owned a trucking company. And inside that trucking company, I created 3 different positions. Don't say that I'm an entrepreneur, so what do you do? Because I actually interviewed somebody. She said, I'm an entrepreneur. I said, oh, okay, so what do you do? I do hair. No, she said I sold bundles. I said, okay, you do that full time? She said, no, I'm a teacher. Well, I thought you said you were an entrepreneur. Well, no, I'm saying I was doing that, but beat around the bush, it wasn't paying me enough. So because I acquired education, I can go be a teacher. This is what pays my bills. This is what provides me insurance. And I do the selling the bundles on the side. Okay, I respect that. Medical, 401k, sometimes junior, yeah. But the unions are shrinking. They're really reducing. Like a lot of people, like pensions and unions are really going away. Unions are more for skilled labor. There's very few managerial positions that have a union. It's very few companies. They want to be anti-union. They want to be able to hire and fire their employees as they see fit. So, all right. So anyway, if you have a business, you're a 1099 employee, or you have employees, just say what you do. There's no disrespect, because even if you say I own my own business and then say I have a salon, I have a barbershop, or I have a cleaning business, or I have a couple cars on Turo, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just say that, please. I know this is a weird request, but don't say you're an entrepreneur and then somebody says and you say it again, because now you're being an asshole. I'm sorry. So save to, yes, okay, I'm coming, Big T, I'm sorry. All right, so whether it's, if you're an entrepreneur or own your own business and your payroll is done, because you should be using QuickBooks or some kind of way to pay your employees and pay yourself. Before you pay your light bill, gas, whatever, and after you pay, you got to pay your employees or you won't be employed long, because without your employees, it's not going to work. So even the W-2, before you pay them, create your budget and see, okay, so for me, because I got more than one income, but for my day job, I look at the bottom, they got all the deductions at the top, and they say, this was going into your check and your checking account. Okay, cool. So that figure times, in case you wonder how to get to 10%, times 0.10, whatever that number is, that's what you should take out every time you get paid, no matter what. So please listen to what I'm about to say. This is very important for the people in the back, as Durain would say. For the people in the back, you pay yourself before you go out to eat, before you go hang out in the club, before you go buy that new outfit, before you go, for me, it'd be buying a new tire, a new white polo shirt. Before I go do that, I have to save my 10% to get paid weekly. So that multiplied by 52 is what I'm trying to save for the year. Pay yourself first, no exceptions. Every week, every bi-weekly, monthly, whatever your pay structure is. Don't think because you get paid weekly, I'm saying you only save it monthly. No, every time, no matter what, you pay yourself your 10% and then you live off. Then you set your budget off the remainder. Okay, let's fast forward to we're actually doing this, okay? We're going to assume that, I'm telling you, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult. This will cause pain. This will cause stress, because you're going to put this in an account that you can actually see, but you cannot touch, because you have goals for this money. This money is ordained to put you in a better situation. I'm not a preacher, as everybody knows, but I'm not going to say this money that you're putting aside, that you're making a sacrifice for, will put you in a better situation next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So no matter how much you work, no matter if you get that second job or you find a hustle that you can make $500 or $1,000 a week. Hello, Joy Diva 1913. I'm assuming you stomp like an elephant. Even if you have kids, you still need to do this sacrifice, because this is going to benefit them. And I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so we're going to fast forward. You start doing this, you got your 10%. But let's just say you make, I don't know, I'm gonna use a round number. You make, this might not be effective, but you make $1,000 a week. That's $52,000 a year. That's the median income. So we're gonna go with it. $1,000 a week, right? $1,000 a week. After taxes, you should be somewhere in $75, $80 or so, because you normally lose $200 or so. If I'm wrong, just go with it. Okay. So you pay weekly, because it's simpler, because I'm gonna break it down. You pay weekly, so let's just say it's just not right. I'm telling you, it's not right. Because actually, I know some people that they finagle and manipulate their deductions. So I'm in Tennessee, where we don't have a state tax. I know other states do, other states don't. So just work with me. And I'm just giving you a magical number, because somebody says, oh, I make double that. Okay, great, congratulations. But I'm trying to like I said, I'm trying to do 4 through 7, not 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So you got your $80 that you got to take out every week to save for yourself. So 80 times 2 is 160. And then you're doubling that. Okay. So every month or every week, you're putting that $80 in. You put it into this account. And then theoretically, 12 weeks, 11 weeks later, you have your $1,000. Now, you have your $1,000. This is the first step of the process. And you remind you, you're going to continue this process until we get to the third tier. This is the first tier, $1,000. So 11 and 12 weeks later from you start, even because I'm going to say 13. Let's round it up to 13 because you backslid one week and you wanted to go out and you needed $50 to $100 to go, to go get you something to eat and hang out with your girls or your boys, whatever the case. All right, so now you got your $1,000 set. This is the very first tier. First tier, $1,000. Then continue to put it in this account, but you move the $1,000 to a separate account, right? Separate account, and do not touch it. This is, I am no longer fucking broke money. I now am past. I am now an exceptional person. I'm in the 30th percentile of Americans because now I have $1,000 of disposable money that I can use only for minor emergencies, rent a car, any kind of small damage. I need to travel for a funeral, and emergency medical, like you might have to go. Other day I had the root canal, I told everybody, and of course it costs money, and prescription costs money, the actual thing costs money, so you have this available, but you're always putting this 80 a week towards this. Okay, you get that $1,000, and let's just say, hold on a second. Georgia state taxes still hadn't got mine. That's funny. I'm in NC and I haven't either. It's still processing. Child, what's going on? I created an account for Georgia taxes. Y'all stupid. I'm not reading all that. We need to give us our money. Give us free. Okay, so you got your $1,000, and now it's weeks and weeks later, so now you got about $500. Okay, so you're like, damn, okay, so I got my $1,000. I'm feeling good. I'm still, I've created my budget, and now, because they say 21 days of something will create a discipline in you. So now you're multiple weeks in. You're 6 months in or so, because now you have another 5. It takes 6 weeks. 24, 6, 8. Yeah, it took 7 weeks to get to 500 if you're doing $80 a week. Do the math. So now you have your $1,000 and you have another 500. Your goal is to get to 5,000. You say, why are you saying 5,000? It's your second tier. So you get that 500. You actually leave that 500 with 1,000. So now you have some cushion. You want to give yourself another $500 of cushion before you start the next tier, because the next tier is very important. The next tier, you're actually going to pause. You're going to make sure that you're basically debt free. You have your cushion of over $1,000. You're at $1,500. Now you're going to attack all your credit cards, and car, until you don't have any major expenses except for your mortgage and maybe student loans. But anything that's small, $10,000 or less, you need to take the time to go knock this out with your cushion and still adding to it. So now you now I got to add to this 8 because you're going for 5. But now your focus is to reduce your debt, reduce your monthly bills to the best of your ability. And then your standard of living is your standard of living. And make sure, once again, we already talked about a budget. You must be inside your budget, but then allocate this money, because you're paying the bill anyway, right? So instead of, now that you have this cushion money, go through the smallest credit card, the $25 to $30 payment, pay that one off. Now you got this $25, now you can put it with the $50 payment, now that $50 payment is $75, so on and so forth, the snowball effect. And then however long it takes. So fast forward to whenever you paid your credit card off, whenever you were able to, if you got 2 cards, pay one of them off, If you're in a committed relationship, you're helping each other. I can go into that later if you like. All right, so credit cards down. Now it's time to go for tier number 2, full strength. Now you're going to take that, let's just round it up, $250, $300 that you were doing to pay your credit cards off. Hopefully you're not that bad in debt. You're gonna put that $250 a month, spread it amongst your $80 a week, and you're gonna maximize. And now you're trying to get to, what's that? 160 times 2 is 320. 320 plus another 3 is 620. Let's add $30 more for good measure, so we have a round number of $650 a month, right? So $650 a month is now going into this pot. This is the $5,000 pot. This is very important because this is going to cover your furnace. It's going to help you with the roof. It's going to cover any water damage, any major car repairs, because you want to keep your car best you can. Maintain your car. Maintain your vehicle will save you a lot more money than going to buy another one. And if you can, once you get to that 5,000, because if you own your home or you're renting, you want to have this, because this is going to set you apart from a lot of people. This $5,000, because now, like I said, roof, furnace, water, any water damage, any minor repairs, any major car repairs, transmission, engine, tires, anything underneath the car costs money. All these things, you're trying to do that. Target at least first to usually negotiate. What happened? Yeah. You should, so should you attack the largest or smallest? I say smallest. Smallest because it's not going to hurt as much, because I missed that comment. So the smallest because if it's a $25 bill, normally that limit is not that high. So you won't be discouraged, because if you, let's for example, I have a credit card limit with $12,000, that payment is like $250 a month. But I have a smaller one where the payment is $25 or $35 a month. So that limit is going to be smaller. So I'll be encouraged, because you want to have certain wins. So when you pay that smaller one off, and then, okay, now I got this money, even though it's not going to pay the other one off, but it's going to chip away just a little bit faster. It's going to chip away. So you want to have the wins to keep you encouraged and keep you going. All right. So then the next thing you want to do, get that 5,000. We're going to fast forward, because I can't tell you what your situation is. But whenever you get to the situation, know that here's a quick key that I learned. Determination plus resiliency and time will get you the results that you want. Determination, resiliency, and time. That means don't get discouraged. Know your goal. Work on your goal. Be determined through your goal. Know that it's going to take time. It's not going to happen in 1 or 2 days. It's going to happen, might be 1 or 2 years. Time, then you will have your result. Because the best example is, how do you pay off a house? How do you pay off mortgage payments? You take it in small bites. You do it 1 month at a time. So, all right, you got your 5,000. Now you got enough to help with your roof, furnace, whatever the case. All right, so now, hopefully you're able to, you have your job that you want that's making the income that you like. Now you have basically $6,500 saved up. One for the immediate emergency small stuff, the medium for the big stuff. And then, like I said, I can't tell you what your timeline is. I don't know what your income is. I'm not trying to be specific to that. You could be married, you could be single, whatever the case. You could be single making what a married couple does, or vice versa. Okay, Mr. The Pepper Dojo. I need you to put a 1 in the chat, because you do have the cam up, showing your face for at least 30 seconds. And you must have a light facing you. I'm trying to create a certain situation. If you're cool with that, I will bring you up and hear what you have to say if you have something to add. So please put a 1 in the chat if you're willing to comply to my request. I don't get weary in well doing. I know that the money is coming. It's coming for a long time. That's funny. I still haven't seen the 1 in the chat. Big Chris, I know you will. Hold on a second. I don't know. I think I I seen you on somewhere before. I can't remember, but I'm patient. I'm patient as a molasses rolling down some bread. Again, I'm telling you, you must cam up. If you want to cam up, you must show your face. Must have the light appropriate so I can see you. And if this is no worries, I don't know what no worries mean. I asked you to put a 1 in the chat. What does that mean, sir? I'm sorry. Anyway, let me finish this right quick and then I'll bring y'all up. All right, so then I heard two different people saying, so I'm coming up with this, and then I heard what my mom said and my dad said. So this is a combination of a couple gurus and my parents. I'm just speechless. I mean, sometimes I'm serious and I apologize for that, but what you type there is, oh sure. Fuck me running. All right, you're working your job. You got your 1,000, you got your 5,000. Now, the next and final step of financial freedom. Now, mind you, this might take you 10 years, but once you get there, you're still doing your 10%. And then if you have a significant other, or even if you've gotten raises, you must increase your 10% compensatory to the amount that you're receiving from your job or jobs. Even if you find a hustle that makes you $500 a month or $1,000 a month, that means you must do 50 or 100 on top of for that separate job. Do not waver on this. Put this in the pot. So you're always adding this to your savings, always, never stopping. Every time you receive funds, every time. So now, guess what you're doing? You're trying to pay off your car, you're trying to pay off all your credit cards. You only want to have a mortgage, maybe student loans, hopefully those are gone, and now you only have light, water, gas, cell phone, internet, the basics of 2023. All those, it's not like when I was a kid, it was like mortgage, water, electric, gas, and house phone. Now we don't have a house phone. We got cell phone, we got to have internet. Okay. One more second, I almost done. So now, 9 months of whatever it is that costs you to live, you and your wife, you and your significant other, or just yourself. 9 months. And I'm going to be very specific of what 9 months is. It is everything that it costs you to live. So you need to write down exactly what your bills are fully. And when I say everything, when you had your budget, and then you still have to add how much it costs you to save. Because I read a book, it's called Fuck You Money. And in that process, he was like, you want to be able to, once you get to this 9 month or 12 months of saved money, then jobs are optional to a point. So now you have this amount of money, and this is gonna be some people 5,000 times 9 or 6,000 times 9 based on what their bills are, based on their mortgage, based on their credit card payments, based on everything. 9 months at least, and then keep putting it in. So that's why it's important. If you got a hustle, put that in there. If you have your wife's, put that in there. So that when you get to here, then you're like, okay, well, once you complete that, however long it takes you to complete it, then you go after your mortgage. Then you make sure that you never owe nobody a major thing again. Because I'm going to explain more, but I'm against keep buying a new car every blah, blah, blah.